Colleen, thank you for waiting.
Oh, no problem. Good evening again, Colleen Ronco, Manalapan Road. A couple of things. What's the situation with the house on Main Street? Where are we standing with that?
I know we had the engineer over here looking at it.
We had the engineer over there, the report came back 20.
Okay, has anybody bothered to call the listing agent? Because I did a little bit of research, and apparently the house is sold twice, once in April of 2017, and most recently December of 2018 with stipulations, and both times the deal fell through because of those stipulations.
But I do want to make you aware that there are stipulations in our purchase as well. Should there be anything recovered, tank-wise, it becomes the responsibility of the seller, not me.
Okay, but my concern is that did anybody bother to call the listing agent and actually ask them what was in those stipulations and why those deals fell through?
No.
I'll make the phone call. It's okay. We had your zoning officer come to our house last week. Apparently, there's an ordinance in town that states that you cannot have a political sign up prior to a certain time period. So we challenged him on that. And he went back to the attorney. I don't know if it was our attorney or the attorney in Sayreville, but he went back to the attorney, and the attorney said that if it's on private property, they can put up a sign whenever they want. So my sign is still there. He's a friend of ours. He asked if he could put the sign, and we put the sign there. My concern was that your zoning officer, A, was nasty, B, showed no identification, C, was in his own private car, and D, came after hours. So basically, he was driving by my house, saw the sign, and decided to stop. We open requested how many summonses he's written in the last year, and would you be surprised to be told that he has not issued a single summons, but threatened me with a summons for a political sign. A little political sign, not a big political sign. I don't have a 6x6 sign on my front lawn. I have a little teeny tiny political sign that unless you're really looking, you're really not even going to notice unless you're stuck in the traffic between 4 and 6.
Right.
Or in the morning.
So I don't know who sent him. I don't care who sent him. But I'm a little concerned with the fact that there seems to be this pattern of behavior that's now arising. First it was every open request myself or my husband submits immediately goes to the attorney. Nobody else's did. I have all the email logs proving that, because as soon as Dawn got her hands on them, boom, that was it. They were gone right to the attorney. So we're spending a fortune to try and stop us from getting paperwork that we're entitled to anyway. And that when I argue with you guys about, not you guys, I don't mean you guys in general, but when I argue with the attorneys or my attorney contacts them, we wind up getting the paperwork anyway. So we're over $10,000 at this point wasted between me having to sue to get the paperwork and the attorney having to look over every single solitary request. I could literally ask for a request for an invoice, for a JCP invoice, and it goes to the attorney. Every single solitary request. Nobody else's, because I've gone through every one of the 6,000 emails, and there is not a single other person whose request went through. Just mine. That's discriminatory. So now we've got the zoning guy that pops at my house for no reason. We've got the OP request that everything has to go over to there. And, I'm going to bring this up, the renters here in town, I think we can all say that as a renter, you're paying taxes. You're not paying it directly to the town, but you're paying it in your rent. So whether you live in Clearwater or you live over on Crescent Avenue in the 55 and over community, or you live in one of the 3 or 4 apartment buildings in town, you're paying rent one way or another. You're paying it through your taxes, through the rent itself. So you're paying taxes, you're paying for the maintenance, you're paying for your water, you're paying for all of that in rent. So there's nothing free. You're not getting anything for free. There was a comment passed that, and I quote, "I don't know why Ronco is concerned about taxes because she's a renter. Scumbag renter," was the exact quote. First of all, I don't rent my house, I own it. Bought it 2 years ago in April 2017. I'm a little concerned that we're disparaging renters. We've got a lot of renters here in town. A lot of renters. I'm sure there's renters sitting behind me. Between Clearwater, Crescent Avenue, the apartment buildings, Greens, Spotswood Gardens, whatever they are. I mean, these people rent, they pay taxes, they have just as much right and say as I do as a homeowner. So Ted and Ed, the next time you're gonna pass a comment like that, at least have balls to look me in the face and say it, okay? Look me in the face. No, Ted, don't lie. 3 people came and told me. Look me in the face and say it. If you're gonna call me a scumbag renter, then look me in the face.
Colleen, you
Okay.
made your point.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have never said that.
Okay. It's amazing how 3 separate people, none of them know each other.
I don't concern myself with who rents and who owns.
Okay. My other question is, what is the situation, what's going on with Dawn? I understand that we're done with
It's
the
a
investigation.
personnel matter, that's litigation, we
Okay.
can't discuss.
All right, but we have a situation where we had an independent investigation that was being done, but yet the independent investigation was by an attorney who was friends with our labor attorney, who also worked with Dawn at one point. And it's my understanding that this report has now come back and that there's pretty much nothing in it, but yet there's all kinds of phone calls and letters that went back and forth between Mayor Sealy and Council President and the labor attorney and our attorney. So how independent could this investigation have been if everybody was calling everybody up on the phone to ask what was going on?
I'll come up and wait for the answer.
Jackie, you know what, I just said the answer.
Well, so I think the issue is that the games that go on and the residents aren't stupid, is what I want to say to you.
Nor do
Okay,
we
I
think they
think,
are.
I would hope not, but I would hope that the understanding is that when you authorized an independent, and correct me if I'm wrong, an independent investigator would mean that on their own, they're investigating a situation. Yes?
Yes?
Okay. That individual who's independent has been communicating directly with our labor attorney during her investigation of this. So that now negates anything that has gone on, in my book. In addition, I asked you this question last month, or last meeting. And I have experience in HR. I have a lot of human resources experience. I've dealt with lots of employees, lots of people, unions, the whole thing. If ever there was a question on somebody's human resources, right, and the situations that were happening in Spotswood, the very first people you might want to investigate and question are the last people who left the organization in a year's time. I know for a fact that not one person who has left Spotswood Borough was spoken to regarding why they may have left the borough under the human resources issues that were happening within the borough. So this investigation, regardless of what it may or may not say, to me is invalid. Because you had an investigator who was not independent, who utilized the labor attorney, and I know, Charlie, that you tried to keep this as tight as you possibly could. I know you did. But you know what? It screams the most sickening corruption that I could ever imagine. And the fact that we will never know the truth of it, and that you can't ever talk about it, is the part that's most discerning to all of us, I think. Is that this just looks like you just blew $9,500 of our money to get for a joke. And the fact that this independent attorney was working directly with our labor attorney, not independently, is really what makes that $9,000 just stick it right to us. So we all kind of know what's going on, and everybody's watching. So I will say to each and every one of you, everyone's watching.